Hey there, Internet! Welcome to the Hard On Gear channel, where I discuss and review my used and abused knives and gear, so that you know what is or isn't worth spending your hard-earned money on. So my schedule got thrown off a little bit the last few weeks. Had to go out on a wildfire deployment, which set me back a little bit as far as my regular filming schedule and all that. One thing I missed during that period was my father's birthday, and so we've got Hog Father here with us again today, going to unbox this the knife that I haven't touched before and I know that he's unfamiliar with. Something that pretty much any tradesperson or laborer will probably find handy. So say hello to the people, Hogfather.
Hey.
And there's your Rat Model 1, which we got for Father's Day. What are you thinking of that thing so far?
Well, I've been carrying it. I've used it a few times. It's getting a little dirty and beat up, but you said when we made the last video, I don't use the knife a lot, but I have found uses for it since I've been carrying it.
Cool. And you have actually been carrying it pocket clip style, like typical knife person would?
Yeah, it took a little bit first couple days, but it actually tucks in quite well behind everything. The only thing I noticed that clashes a little bit with at work, I carry a measuring tape a lot, and I hook that on that corner of my pocket, so I've had to move it ahead just a bit, but other than that, I pretty much don't really notice it there.
Cool. This is a Cold Steel Tuff Lite. Cold Steel is the same brand as my long-term Recon 1, which served me for many years, and I got several other Cold Steel products, but this is the one that most people are going to be familiar with. So the Cold Steel Tuff Lite, paid around $50 Canadian for it. You can get around $30 American. So why don't you go ahead and unbox that, and we'll both get a look at it and start handling it and see what we think.
Good knife.
Oh, that's funny. It's what many knife people tend to use their knives for most, is unboxing other knives. So I got this from, I believe I got it from Blades Canada, warriorsandwonders.com out of Vancouver. So typical Cold Steel box, not a whole lot with it. All the specs and a lot of the warranty information is going to be right on the box here. These new style boxes have the actual holographic themselves. And there's the Tuff Lite. So what this basically is, once you flip that open, it's going to be pretty stiff.
Very stiff.
Yeah, Cold Steel's Triad Lock is not a fidget knife, but you're going to see that Wharncliffe style blade to kind of mimic a utility knife. The Triad Lock's whole thing is that you're really going to have to jam your thumb down in on that. It's going to break in over time.
That's real stiff. There's no flicking that open with one hand yet.
No, sir. And after a while, you'll kind of get the feel for it. But if you give that Triad Lock a feel, you'll see that one's a little more broken. It'll be a little bit easier to disengage the lock. But still, it takes quite a force driving down with that thumb, and your thumb will get tougher doing that after a while. So Cold Steel Tuff Lite is basically designed to be a utility knife on steroids that you shouldn't really be able to snap or break or really chip too easily. It's Aus 8 blade steel, so it's going to be the same blade steel as this Aus 8 version of the Rat Model 1. Pretty stainless, not a super high-end premium, but it's going to be super easy to sharpen. It'll hold an edge okay, but if you're doing a lot of cutting and hitting like plastic straps, metal strapping and whatever, you're going to dull it, but it's not going to chip on you like some of the more premium steels and something like the S30V from Mannix 2 or Spyderco Benchmade knife.
So it feels solid, sturdy. It is made to put through.
You could punch that thing through. Yeah, you could put that thing through a car door. And the Wharncliffe blade, like it's meant to be utilitarian. It's a hollow grind, so it is quite slicey, but you shouldn't really have any issue breaking that. That forward choil position where your finger slips into near the blades, it does have it's funny enough, it actually does have a decent little tactical build. The Wharncliffe is actually a pretty tactical blade style, as per Michael Janich's experiments. Yeah.
Definitely stiff.
Yeah. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a little bit to break in, and we can actually loosen up the pivot on that, as well as change the pocket clip around if you want to put the pocket clip to the tip up position like most normal people would.
I know you're trying to. This one wasn't bad. Now this one's getting a little wider in my pocket.
Okay, my thought with this one is more of a clip onto your tool belt kind of knife. So basically a utility knife, like you would use your little slippy X-Acto knife type stuff. If you had to put a little bit more pressure on this, or if you had to drive it through something where one of those little utility blades would snap, this thing should hold up.
Oh yeah, I see a lot more meat in this blade, plus with it being shorter.
Yeah, big thick blade stock on that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, for sure. Trying to find that balance. I know you're not much of a knife guy, but knives that you would actually use. So this thing being a little more of a slicer to keep in your pocket, and that one being a little bit more of a utility belt or a tool belt. knife, just if you had to cut shingles or whatever and you wanted to keep that one a little bit sharp. That's why I like having two knives on me. I typically have the Azula on me for beating stuff or tearing through stuff, and I don't have to worry about dulling it. And now I've got like the Mannix or the PM2 on me if I want to keep a little bit more sharp of a blade and keep the edge from getting too worn down. That's sort of my idea with these two.
So, it's a Father's Day knife. It's a birthday knife. So next one, I guess there's a spot here for Christmas coming up.
I suppose there is. There could be a Christmas knife. And hey, if you want to keep getting knives for holidays, there's that is something I can certainly keep picking up, and will keep making me think creatively as to what you'll actually use. What do you think on the feel, as far as like the general feel in hand of the Tuff Lite here? Because I know you like this, the Rat Model D2.
I do like this one. I don't try to get too crazy and fancy with it. I just do it carefully and slowly. But
a smart individual who wants to keep their fingers.
Yeah, this one, like I said, it'll be a long time before that'll ever flip open. But yeah, I can see. Like I said, until they say the necessity is the mother of all invention. Well, until I need this, I won't know what it was invented for me to use it for. But I'm sure there'll come a time.
Size-wise, everything pretty good.
Yep.
It's about that same size range where it's not too large, not too small.
Yep.
Fits in the hand good.
No, it'd be good for something where, like you said, a short, strong, stout blade.
Yep. Awesome. Cool. Let me just get a feel of this thing, because I have never handled one before. So.
Be careful. It's sharp. Yeah.
The thumb wheel deployment, definitely a little bit tough right now. And we have what looks like a T8 in the pivot and probably T6 body screws, T6 pocket clip screws. So yeah, that pivot there can be adjusted if you wanted that to be a little bit less painful. So my thumb's pretty used to that triad lock, but she certainly is stiff right now. Oh yeah, so we'll loosen that up a little bit. And just a temporary cut. Hey, in case I forget to mention it later, don't forget to hit that like button if you want to help support the channel and get this video out to more people. There's also a Patreon and all that kind of stuff down in the description below. Just gonna back that pivot up a bit and make sure we're still solid here. That's a little bit better. And once that breaks in, that thumb wheel will come really easy. And also, I don't like the pocket clip in the tip down position like this. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, so we'll switch that around too.
Opposite to this one.
Yeah, so we'll make that universal here. Oh shit, you know what? I just noticed it is only tip down carry. Yeah, look at that.
When you said it was flipping it over, I didn't know what you were
Yeah,
doing.
no, I just noticed a lot of them are four-way. Something I've done before in other videos is assume, just without even looking at it, that there's a four-way pocket clip on this, because why would anybody ever build a knife without the option of doing a tip-up carry? But like many of these smaller knives, the way they're built, they don't typically leave a lot of room for the four-way clip, so we're limited to the tip down. But where this isn't going to be like a quick deploy EDC type knife like the Rat Model 2 is, or like most pocket knives that I'm going to be carrying, this is basically going to be pulled from a pinch grip and then deployed like that. Let me know how that goes over the next few months of work. Cool.
I'll take off and leave you with can't leave without leaving one bad dad joke behind.
Oh, good.
Since you decided to crown hog mom, and me hog dad, and I guess you've inherited the crown of piglet.
Oh, God. And cut. Okay, so now back in the main seat, and I have loosened up that pivot just a little bit more on here, just to make it a little bit more deployable with one hand. And now if you wanted to do the old Cold Steel triad lock shake, you should be able to one-handed close that. So middle spidey flick, middle finger flick. Ooh, I might actually be able to do that without cutting myself. Ooh, round 3. Nope, not quite. Maybe with a little bit of a, nope. 5, nope. All right, so not quite there yet. We'll see after a few months if that gets broken down. I may end up ordering one of these for myself just to stick into my car or a work bag or something like that, because there is quite a bit of utility for something like this, especially for something that you don't really need to baby or clean or do anything with. Seeing Metal Complex's Tuff Lite, which he used for I think numerous years before having to replace it. His was pretty worn down and gummed up, full of tape and adhesive and all that kind of stuff. You can get away with a lot with this little guy for about 50 bucks Canadian, $30 American. I think the handle is Grivery, the scales rather. I don't see any liners in here, so you've just got the triad lock, this nice big thick hunk of Aus-8 blade steel. And I really don't know what they use for the triad. Is some kind of a stainless steel or maybe they use AUS-8 blade steel or S35VN the same as the blade. I really have no idea. Somebody please comment and let me know, because I cannot find that information on the internet. So a little disappointed in the only tip down carry option. I'm not a fan. Obviously, I've said it in every video where it comes up, and if there were a tip up version, I'd probably be a little bit more likely to have one of these, and maybe I'd even carry it sometimes. Big old lanyard hole. If your hands happen to be gigantic and you can't quite get a full grip on this thing, add the lanyard and you should be able to get your pinky cinched up. Other than that, not a whole heck of a lot to say about this thing. The pocket clip is ambidextrous, so unlike a lot of Cold Steel models, you can just flip this over and put it on the left-handed side if you are like myself and left-handed. The jimping on the back of the blade is quite a bit different than what you're going to find on most knives. It's pretty thick. The grooves here aren't really sharp, but they're deep enough that your finger locks in wherever you're going to have it, or your thumb rather locks in, no matter where you are on the back of the blade. Got a few different positions here depending on how far you want to choke up on it. A couple of jimping spots here on the back of the triad lock as well. Scales are pretty well contoured. The slots for your fingers are pretty large. I've got decent sized fingers and hands, not the largest, but they have no problem fitting in there. A little bit of a sharpening choil there, and then that 2.5 inch Wharncliffe blade. Let me just grab the box here for the specs. Yeah, so 2.5 inch total blade length, overall length of 6 inches. Japanese AUS-8 blade steel, like a lot of the budget Cold Steel and many other knife companies use. 2.5 ounces overall, with a blade thickness of 2.75 millimeters, and the handle is Grivex TM. I'm assuming that's just the brand of Grivery that we're looking at here, but it's Grivery, whatever it is. The handle in total is 3.5 inches. Pretty compact, pretty much going to be legal almost anywheres except for some countries like I think Denmark and Switzerland maybe, but a bunch of those European countries that don't allow locking blades. Other than that, you're under 3 inches. There's no buttons or no automatic features. God, it's just not very fidget friendly, so I don't think it's too scary as a tactical knife. Although, as my father grabbed it there right away in that reverse grip, I think you kind of see there is definitely some tactical purpose to it if you can get it out, because it is kind of built in a way where you that Wharncliffe serves almost like I want to say a Karambit style knife in the reverse grip, where it's quite tiny, Wharncliffe style blade with a little bit of a forward curve to it. But actually slice pretty well. And again, Michael Janisch had proved in enough tests that the Wharncliffe blade is about as good as you can get for a tactical edge. So that hollow grind makes this pretty damn slicey. Wouldn't recommend it maybe for a self-defense knife, but if you had to be, maybe you were up on a roof doing some shingling and you got attacked by a pterodactyl or something like that, I don't know, you'd be pretty well set compared to some of the junk you could be using. A little bit better than an X-Acto knife. Sometimes I get done those 2-minute rambles and I think, God, I can't wait to edit all that out. Oh, and you heard it from the man himself. It looks like we'll be getting a Christmas knife. So please let me know down in the comments what you think I should be picking up. Obviously, we're pretty good on small folding knives right now, but I'm kind of thinking maybe something like a multi-tool, or maybe something a little more purpose-driven than just your typical knife. I'm not really sure yet. Have a few months to think about it, but let me know your thoughts and help me narrow down the selection before then. Cool, not much else to say about this thing. I'll find out how the old man likes it after a few months of use, if he finds any purpose for it. I suspect he'll probably end up using the Wrap Model 2 here more than the Tuff Lite, only because this is a little bit smaller, a little more accessible if he's going to be carrying it in his pocket. We'll see what happens with this guy. It's relatively budget. Should last a long time, even if he only finds purpose for it doing certain jobs where he might not want to ding this thing up too bad. It's still going to serve its purpose. So we'll find out. We'll see what happens. Maybe I pick one of these up myself here in the future. But for now, this is the Hard On Gear channel signing off.